back. I can't believe June 21st, every time we do a mound visit, sometimes elapsed, and we get to talk about what's been happening, what's going to happen, and what we don't have any idea about is going to happen. We just got to wait patiently. So, welcome to Mound Visit. And Case, what's been going on with you, buddy?
Well, I don't want to start it off on like such an emotional note, but I watched the movie Field of Dreams for the first time in a while last night, and I didn't expect it to hit me as hard as it did, but I bawled my eyes out at the end of that movie. Like, I mean, it's obvious
Sure.
the part that I'm talking about, but I was like,
Wasn't your allergies, huh?
no, it was not my allergies. I was
Okay,
blowing my nose
you
from,
can hide
yeah.
behind it. I was going to let you just be a man,
Oh my God.
No, it's good. That's good. That's a good
It's,
cry.
yeah,
Did you
it's,
call your dad today then? Are you
yeah.
going to call your dad?
hmm
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
So
I
there you
texted
go.
him last night after I watched it, and I was like, we got
There
to
you
play
go.
catch.
Yeah, let's go, Dad. We need to go watch a game. Let's go to a game, have a beer, have a catch. That's
Yeah,
that's what you needed, bro. You're missing pops.
that's right.
The universe is talking. Well, that's good.
Mm.
Great way to start that. I got to have the Cubbies been in town. They've been rocking the Pirates here. We're talking about my guys right
Yeah,
in
yeah.
town. Stroman's having a great season.
hmm
Um, but yeah,
Yes,
the
he is.
offense has been very cold
Mm.
as of late. But yeah, talking about the Cubs, bringing to mind my Field of Dreams moment for the All Star game when I was named to the All Star
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
Great picture of me and my pops.
yeah.
I need to put it on my dirt over here. I need to put it right here on with that because I had a catch with my dad at Wrigley right after I got named to the All Star team.
Nice.
And yeah, we were crying when we were playing catch down
I
by the eye.
I could imagine.
Incredible, incredible moment. Probably I don't know. Just so
Yeah.
to that dude, crying
Oh,
with you.
it's
I talk to my dad every day,
yeah.
several times a day.
Well, it's just it's one of those things where especially people who grew up playing baseball, it's just like you playing catch with your dad is it's such a routine. At least for me in my life, I played catch with my dad every day, and you grow up, you go to college or whatever you do, you move away, and then all of a sudden it's just like,
We should get Steve Grilli pop in the show now. It's a Father's Day show.
mm-hmm.
Turn it into the Father's Day show.
I know. Oh
You know?
man, yeah, it's a emotional way to start the show, but what a movie! It's
Yeah.
just
Maybe we'll bring Pops on. Let me text him and see
text
while we're
him.
talking about everything else. Let's see if he can join the show. We should have had him. We talked about having him
Yeah,
as a guest right
I
around
just saw
Father's
him recently, so
Day. Let's go. I'm gonna send him. I'll get the. I'm gonna text you his email.
I could send him a
Yeah,
link even.
yeah. Let's get his email here while we're doing this. This is a surprise guest.
Yeah.
Sneak attack him. Let's go.
That's right.
Um, but in the meantime, dude, what else?
Well,
Wanna
I
talk
think
about later?
we were talking. You're sticking with the NL Central. I mean, we're talking Pirates, talking Cubs. How about Reds, man? Someone asked on your live right before we went on here, what's the deal with the Buccos? And you kind of said it best. You're like, the Reds are the deal with the Buccos because they are. I mean, they've got some juice now with their younger guys stepping up into a big role.
A lot of excitement there, man. A lot of highlight reels. These kids are swagging, and they just got Joey Votto. That's like,
hmm
are you kidding me? Like you get a
Hall of
marquee
Famer.
player, right? Marquee
Yep.
player just ready to go. He's ready. He comes in and hits a bomb and joins the whole brigade.
Yeah.
So
It's a pretty cool thing to watch, especially too when you've got that mix of youth and energy coming into the game, and now you get to you see a guy like you said, a marquee player in Joey Votto come back and instantly make an impact on that team. And now it's like and I think you said it best even too when we were talking before the show. You were just like, look, when you have that youth, that energy, the swagger, and then the skill. Like, not only are they bringing energy, but these guys are freaking good. I
yeah,
mean, Matt McClain's hitting almost 350. Ellie De La Cruz is another, I didn't think we would see another O'Neal Cruz type guy, but he is, I mean, an alien.
What's going? Like, I would want to know. See, this is as a fan
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
or being on the inside. I would want to know, like, are these guys hanging out? What are they doing that's offbeat that's bringing them together?
Sure.
Besides what's going on in the field, there's always that thing. I always say when you're spraying champagne, if you're spraying champagne, and right now, if the season were to end, the Reds are spraying champagne
Yeah.
as the division winner. If today was the end of the season, what changed? What made them say this is great to be around these guys having fun? I can only imagine. I mean, yeah, winning is everything, and
Yeah.
it's always a great energy. It's a high when you're winning, and winning 10 in a row feels like, oh my God, we're really good right now.
Yeah.
And you want to keep it there. So just as quick as you don't get too high or too low, they always say stay right in the middle because there's a 10-game losing streak somewhere mixed in there. And it's like, what happened? Like you said, and not to pick on the Pirates, there's a lot of other teams that are going through. They started off hot.
Yeah.
They got their pains and woes and drop and lose a little bit of momentum, and then somebody picks it back up. Rewind a team back in 2007, the Rockies.
Yeah.
They won something like 21 straight, and went right into the playoffs. Was it so hot? They went right to the World Series. They lost to Boston that year. But that's to say, get streaky, get hot at the right time,
Yeah, it's crazy because the Reds, talking about getting streaky, I mean, they've won their last 10 games, like you said. They are the first, I believe they are the first team ever to be 5 games out of first place and now be in first place within a 10-game stretch. I think they're the first team to ever do that, which is pretty remarkable. And the even funnier thing to think about with that team, and when you mention all the youth and all of that, the third highest paid player on the Reds is this year. If you had to take a guess,
I don't know.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm serious. He's the third highest paid player on the Reds this year because the two guys that were paid higher in front of him got DFA'd, Will Myers and Mike Moustakas. And now that leaves Ken Griffey Jr. as the third highest paid because he's still he's getting his
Yeah, it's the Bobby Bonilla contract.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Wow,
So
deferred money. Hey, that's a great retirement. Good for you, Ken. What a
right.
career.
But how about that? So
growing up watching him, the kid. Well, that made me think too. This with teams getting hot. Why? And some of the divisions are really weak. Like
yeah,
there's teams with records that are way better destroying if they were in a different division.
oh yeah,
Like both Centrals, AL, NL Central, kind of hovering around 500.
yep,
They're leading the division. So to me, it's like, do you win the division and maybe this wild card chase, or do we just start going? If you make the playoffs, it's the best records, right? Just taking all the best records. Obviously, if you win tops in the division, you should be automatic shoo-in for a playoff spot, a playoff berth.
yeah.
But then again, you sit there and go, I don't know. There's just some teams you sit there and go,
Yeah, I agree. I think the tough part about it is like you said, when you've got a team like you look at the AL East, and we've talked about the AL East, multiple times on this show, but you've got the Red Sox who are in last place at 39-35. That's the same exact record as the Cincinnati Reds, who are in first place in their division. You look at the AL Central, and you've got the Minnesota Twins in first place. They are below 500 at 36-38.
yeah.
So I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, if they win their division on a losing record,
right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they shouldn't even be a wild card team if there's other teams
Right.
like the Yankees that have a better record and they're in the middle of the pack in the AL East.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
It's not. It's again. We go back to that argument of where's the competitive balance.
yeah.
There isn't.
Well,
Yeah, I pulled up the standings. We're talking here about the craziness of just if the season were to end today.
yeah,
It seems like it would be very unfair for the Minnesota Twins to get in as a division winner with the record, a losing record, and you got somebody like Baltimore, who's tops for the AL
Yeah.
first AL wild card slot. Almost like, I get it. Winning your division is part of it, and just, we're changing rules. But with a 486 winning percentage as opposed to a 625, could you imagine not getting into the playoffs if there wasn't that cutoff? Obviously, if you have a good record, that's what the whole wild card setup is supposed to be. But it's just funny to see somebody with a record like that. Whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's
happened before. I'm sure this topic's not
yeah.
fresh and new. It's kind of like you said. I think it's just because of always looking at the power of the AL East.
Well, yeah. I mean,
crazy division.
The interesting thing for me is like when you look at these divisions and how they're I don't know. I guess how they're formulated. I don't know, because it hasn't always been this way, but it just feels like the last few years, the central divisions in general, and I don't know why it is necessarily, but they seem to just have the weaker teams. Whether that, I mean, but it wasn't that long ago when, the Brewers were really good. Even last year, the Cardinals were really good, but it just overall, the divisions as a whole haven't been super, super competitive. Maybe I'm remembering it. Excuse me. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but.
Well, like I said, if we go back to, hot topic, hot team, the Reds are red hot.
Yeah.
And they do have the money to make some trades and stuff, which will be coming up on that. We're not too far off from individual performance, the showcase, the red carpet of the All-Star game this year, which is in Seattle. A team like Cincinnati, one of the oldest, long-standing organizations in baseball, there's some long money there, and I'm sure that they will come out of pocket if need be, if they're still dancing like they're dancing right now.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always fun to see, right?
Right. Well, their owner said, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he said that, if the team is in a position to contend for a playoff spot, they are not afraid to, make a move. And I really hope they do. Ohtani.
To go get Ohtani. Says he's not going anywhere, so they didn't get Ohtani.
Hey, I mean, honestly, I hope. So here's a question for you. Here's an interesting one. Would you rather see Ohtani get traded to a team where it's kind of a guarantee that he makes the playoffs, or do you want to see him make the playoffs or stay with the Angels and try and make the playoffs with them?
Well, I know
you were an Angel, so
yeah, it's great. Oh man, playing in Southern California is not a bad deal. No, Anaheim hasn't done very much, since being in the World Series. Was it 2002? I think, if my memory's right.
I think it was
the Rally Monkey in 2002 against the Giants, right? I think
yeah.
That's when they won last.
Yep.
I might be right on that, but I think the fans want to see if they're going to keep Ohtani. I know they're not going to get a new stadium, which they need a new stadium out there desperately too.
Really?
Yeah, it's an old stadium.
Okay,
it's a very old stadium. There's my son beeping in here. Talk about father-son deal. Talk about the generations of Grillis.
I know, right?
So, yeah, no, I think Ohtani, from what's being said, will stay. I think that would be a heartbreak for the city, the team. That would be a deflating energy suck from that clubhouse.
Well, that was something I wanted to ask you about, because you've played for a ton of different teams. But you've also been traded at trade deadlines.
Sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. Right.
But regardless, on teams that you've been on, where, you guys have been in a playoff spot. What does it do to a clubhouse when you bring in, at the deadline, you bring in whatever, a piece that you guys need? What does that do for does that? Because, you always hear guys talk about it, and it's like, no, we're confident in the guys we have. We know we're a good team, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like deep down, if the front office goes ahead and makes a trade, that's got to, bring a little juice into the clubhouse where you're like, wow, like not only do we believe, but
you know what? Because you know what? You set the precedence that, hey, this organization does want to win.
Right.
And if they're bringing in stuff, they're bringing in some heat, even if it's just temporary. I remember even Matt Stairs, a guy that's, was a fan favorite in his own right, because here's a guy that just took mammoth swings, right? Stocky kind of player, great guy in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Great teammate. And he came in, and I felt bad for a guy like that because we got him late, and he was a welcomed addition, but he wasn't able to make the playoff roster. Didn't make that cut for when we acquired him. But he was definitely a big contributor.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want to bring in a guy that's going to contribute in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter what they do. Key hit, key moment, good clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
Just making you look good on paper. The confidence at that time is like 162 practice games. I say that for the 11 you're trying to win and prepare for to win a ring, man. So acquiring a big name player, what's the organization looking to do?
Seriously,
is it a fire sale to get rid of some payroll and help another club? Is that club going to keep that guy, or is he just on a loan? So. Those are the things that we'll be talking about here that will come to fruition. I know it's a little preliminary, but the All-Star Game's not too far away, about a month away, and less than a month away. And we'll be seeing some stuff that's going to get some fans upset. We'll be hanging up their jersey, their favorite player that's going to
another team,
contender, right?
Yeah. So how about this on the flip side? From behind the doors in the clubhouse, because I've always wondered this: when you get traded mid-season and you're going to a contender, what is that like? I mean, even Sean Casey talked about that when he was on here when he came to the Tigers. What's that like when you got to pack your bags, go to a different city? How do you? I don't know. I mean, how do you get acclimated to a new clubhouse? What is that like? Learning your role. How does that happen? Do you rely on the veteran guys on the other team? Is it the front office telling you?
It's just being yourself, man. I just always told guys, and Sean Casey was the first guy. I was excited when I heard we acquired him. I've always wanted to play with him. He's a dear friend because we hit it off when he came to Detroit. We were in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And I just said, hey, Case, I said, I've always wanted to meet you, get to know you. Welcome to Detroit. That's all I said. I made him feel comfortable, and he said, that made me comfortable. Now, here's Sean Casey, all-star, the mayor himself. Everybody knows him. He's a great player, great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was nervous to come over and try to fit in. And it's like being a new kid in school, right?
Yeah. So,
and it's the same feeling. And you want to go in there and feel comfortable and get acclimated and adjusted as quick as you can because, let's face it, you get ripped from your family. You're moving your family again. There's things that behind the scenes people don't see. Yeah. Moving is one of the top stresses on the list of all things that are stressful. On the top 5 things, if we were playing Family Feud, moving. So yeah. I've moved from spring training, get ready for that. Moved to go to your, the city you're playing in is playing for. And if you get traded, there's another move, and you move back home. So it could be up to 4 moves or more, in the season.
Does the team help you find housing, or?
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, they don't tell you where to live, but the way I was going, dude, I just stayed in the hotels. It was just easier to break a lease when you're just going hotel room. Get a suite in a nice hotel room.
Yeah.
And, collect the points or whatever. So when you make the playoffs, my parents always they're like, we'll pay for the room. I go, no, I got all these points. I got free rooms. You're staying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what we did, man, and especially in Toronto. It was fun. But, yeah, definitely always guys are just acclimating. And This game's about adjustments, bro. You know,
Yeah.
you got to make adjustments all the time. When you see guys adjusting their cap, adjusting their jock strap, adjusting the pitch selection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Game of adjustments, game of inches, and things are happening, man. It's just father son stuff. We're covering the bases today, Case.
That's
Bringing the
right.
drama in. What's the dramatics though? What's happening? In your opinion, the dramatics of the game here.
Well, there's a lot, and I think there's a couple ways that we could go with this because it kind of depends on how. Well, I guess I have thoughts on what the dramatics, in the games are, but I think the best way to look at it is to highlight and kind of you give a bit of a tip of the cap to teams that you might not have thought. And we talked about the Reds, but I think I want to give another one of your former teams, the Rangers. I want to give them some love on this show because they came into the year and they made a lot of moves. They made some moves last year in free agency, bringing in Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, 2 All-Stars. And then, this year they revamped their entire pitching staff pretty much. And unfortunately, the big move they made didn't work out in DeGrom, but they're in first place, and they don't seem to be slowing down at all. I actually got to watch over the weekend who was it? Maybe it was on a Thursday or something like that. But they played the Angels, so I was watching, the two teams in the top of the AL West battle it out. The Rangers are just a good ball club, man. They are just a good team, and I think it's time to just give credit where credit is due because a lot of people wanted to cut, myself included. When DeGrom went to the Rangers, I was annoyed, and I was just like, "What?" And he's given his press conference talking about how they're committed to building a winning team, and I was like, if you want to win, why wouldn't you want to stay in New York? Obviously, that hasn't worked out, but now you look at the Rangers; they're in first place. So clearly, either he knew something that we didn't know, or it's just they made the right moves. And so I guess it's not really dramatic, but they are by far. You look at I like to look at run differential a lot. I mean, they're plus 150. That's tops in the league. That's better than even the Rays and the Braves. So they're scoring a lot of runs. Their pitching staff has been pretty good. Nathan Eovaldi the guy averages like 8 innings a start. That's got to be for you. That's got to be a reliever's dream.
The power arm. Well, you know what? As a reliever, man, you always used to just sit there and go, God, we need a night if you've been taxed, or because that happens, and you need some guy to step up and do that. And if you get a night like that, you're taking that guy out for some dinner and drinks, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Celebration.
I can imagine.
Celebration.
It's cool.
I guess what I was leading to is there's a couple of dramatics.
Yeah.
With the play at the plate. Right? Talk about the Rangers. The play at the plate. There's a controversial play or moment, I guess, across baseball.
Yeah.
And after review, they called him safe. The catcher has to give that lane, right?
Yep.
To the runner, and with the instant replay, they ruled him safe, and it was good to see Boch out there just defending his like old school stuff, man. He's an old school guy.
Yeah.
Getting ejected, and arguably so. It's interesting how the nuances of the game. If that play, look, we just talk about the Yogi Berra documentary.
Yeah.
Yogi never had the instant replay, but on all the old film, you ask Yogi Berra immediately, he says he was out. He swore he was out. But if you look at the replay, and if that was in play, it looks like, Jackie was safe, man.
Right. It's that whole situation, the whole play at the plate, that rule change, catchers having to give the runner a lane is interesting because, we talked about this even just a little bit before we got on here, but I think the curious thing about that is, and I think it goes, you can you can kind of look at this with all of the new rules that have come into play over the not only this year but over the last few years. I think that these rules were put in place to avoid the extreme on whatever, whether it's guys taking, 45 seconds, a minute in between every pitch, or, with the pitch clock is meant to persuade guys from not doing that. But then it's, you look at that and it's taken out some of the, you've got the feel being taken out of a situation where you've got a guy like Drew Maggi who's stepping up to the plate to, in his first major league game since, being in the minors for 13 years, and he gets banged for a pitch clock violation. So then you look at things like this with the catcher's interference. You don't want guys getting steamrolled at the plate when guys are as big and as fast and as strong as they've ever been. Obviously, it took a, MVP all-star caliber player, potential future Hall of Famer in Buster Posey getting bowled over for that rule to be changed. But now, you've got a guy, Jonah Heim, he gave enough of a lane. If you get the ball like that in plenty of time where you've got the throw beat by 4 or 5 steps, what do we need to give a lane for? That's what
with all the concussions, like you said, you're protecting your investment in the player. I think I understand that.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to, it no different than second base. That's why they made the bases bigger, right? We got all that coming into play. But they didn't make home plate bigger.
Right. Well,
and that's the one base that you got to defend the most. You don't want guys to score. So, there's no right or wrong answers here. It's just it's a topic of discussion that was interesting, but it was cool to see how things play out. And unfortunately, like I said, the umpires are right half the time. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting to see too, because if you watch that replay, I mean, he gave there was a little bit of a lane, but it's like that's how, as a catcher, that's how that's trained his entire life. Catch the ball, block the plate, and it's not even like he just blocked the plate with his body. He just had, 1 foot kind of right in the middle of it, put the tag down. I don't even think the White Sox would have complained about that not being called. But it's one of those things where I don't know
or you do the Chris Coughlin play. It just reminded me.
Just leapfrog over. Yep.
Leapfrog. That was an unbelievable play.
Yeah.
Movie quality moment, right?
Yep.
So, talking about movie, we started off with movies.
Mm-hmm.
And
full circle.
Chris Coughlin. I wish we could.
It was right over. He jumped over Yachty too.
Yachty, dude.
Yep.
And it was like it was unbelievable. He Superman right over him.
It was incredible. Yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing that highlight and I was like, yeah, that might be one of the more. I'd seen Little League.
Major League, dude. I was looking it up, just watching it right now.
Yeah.
That was a scene out of Major League.
Yeah.
And to see it live, you're like, wait, did that just happen?
Yeah.
But I've seen some kids I've watched some amateurs. Stuff
I was going to say, yeah.
And you see these kids doing that because the catcher's ready to
Mm-hmm.
block. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not that super freak anymore to do those moves. Hook slides and everything. I give these guys amazing. I don't practice that. I mean, I never see guys really practicing that. That's kind of instinctual.
That's just pure athleticism. Right? Yeah, you can't teach that.
You can't teach those things, man.
No, it's pretty incredible. I think the craziest thing, I don't know. It just brings up a whole larger topic about that the whole way that the rules are perceived and all of that stuff. And I don't know, because I think this was in between. I don't know if we got to talk about this on the last show. I can't remember, but you know how they got rid of the shift by, basically the rule stated like when the pitch is thrown, you can't start on either side of second. So for example, if you're the second baseman, you have to be on the second base side of second base. But they banged Jeff McNeil for that call in a game against, I think it was against the Braves. I might be remembering that wrong. But he had his foot, he was covering the bag, like holding a runner on second base. And they called him for that, for not being on the second base side of second base. And it was just like that rule. It's another thing where that rule was made so that the second baseman or shortstop is not standing on the left side of the diamond. So there's three infielders completely, clogging up that side of the infield. If he wants to hold a guy on, it was literally like the diamond of the base, and then his foot was here. And it's like that's not the nature of the rule.
Right. Yeah,
So
if you're throwing a knee down there and
right.
drop it an elbow, right? I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. We're always going to have something to debate and talk about. Because look at Chase Utley. I'm sorry to bring up your Mets, bro, but guy's going in hard, playing hard, and he wound up injuring guys, and that's not what you want to do. You don't ever want to take out one of your fraternity brothers. But I understand in the heat of battle, you got that secondary instinctual, like I'm doing anything I have to do, and everything for my team to win.
Well,
And love it, hate it. It's not being dirty. It's more of how competitive are you, willing to put your body on the line, because you put yourself at risk too doing that.
Well, all I'll say, in the words of my favorite player of all time, David Wright, only Chase knows what his intentions were on that play. But I had a problem with the play on multiple different levels. And then, as Michael Kadire said, that's not a slide, that's a tackle. So
yeah, but they used to do that back in the day.
Oh yeah, I know.
Will Clark trying to take Ozzie Smith, and the whole left side of the infield was there, and he was the one guy in the middle of taking on 3 or 4 guys that were there. But that's back in the day, man. So the rules in the game is continually evolving.
Yeah.
But to end it on a lighter note, it's all good topics, all good discussions. The taunting, the rules, the stuff that we love to talk about here on Mound Visit, break away from reality. That's what sports provides us. Have you not seen? And again, we got to get our technology up to speed so we can show this.
Yeah.
And it's been all over the news. It's not new news if we only do our show on Wednesdays. But the Cleveland, we're not talking about NCAA baseball. The College World Series has been some good games.
Oh yeah.
But this hilarious interview with Steven
Scotch.
Scotch. That's how you say it. Sorry. Greatest interview I think I've ever seen.
He's the best.
I'd want to play with this guy, and I don't know. I'm looking for more footage on this guy. I might even follow his Instagram. Funny.
He's great. Yeah, he did that. That interview was actually a couple years ago, and now he works. He works for D1Baseball.com, and he does a bunch of great coverage. He's a great follow on Twitter. So. He would be a fun guest if we could get him on here.
Get him on the show. So you bring a little spin to that.
We're not
going to reveal. We got a great guest coming up here on the show. Mound Visit. Totally off. What would you say? Take a fork.
It's off brand.
It's off brand, but there's a tie-in. Every Mound Visit doesn't always have to be baseball related, but there's some baseball and some amazing things, and you guys will see. You won't want to miss our next show.
Yeah.
Unbelievable guest. I've been trying to get one of my dear friends, newfound friends here in recent days. I'll share the whole connection. It's pretty crazy. We're going to have him on. And we got to get Steve back on.
Yes.
We had some technical difficulties. Papa Cheese, the original cheese man.
That's right.
We couldn't get him on the app. Technology is great when it works, but
that's right.
Crazy all over the place Mound Visit. It felt like a knuckleball today. We came in for a landing. We had a lot on our mind.
Started off crying, then we got frustrated with our technology, and then talked some baseball, and now we're excited for the next week especially. So yeah, you guys.
Man, I'm hot on watching the Reds' exciting baseball. Can't say I'm necessarily rooting for them, but I will watch exciting baseball, and they're hot. They're going to be fun to watch. The electricity and the swag that they got going on. Probably out of all baseball, I would say they're the team to be watching and paying attention to at the moment.
Yeah.
But stay hot. stay hot, stay ready, and I hope
sir.
you guys have the rest of your week. Thanks for
Absolutely.
watching. Go to Mound, visit Case. Always a pleasure, brother.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.